Probably the earliest moment for me to sort of understand in greater context of what he was doing is that at IS we had a lot of IS would annually send field trips of kids to Erie, because Erie was such a gem in terms of a place, an institution where they're doing something important. And I remember, I think I was in 5th or 6th grade at the time, and we took a field trip to Erie, and they were brought to the auditorium, and they were given a film to see of Erie, and then my father spoke, and I think that was at that point it was sort of a defining moment, an epiphany for me that that my father was really something special and doing some really good work, because it wasn't until I saw the film and put it in the context of what was going on at Erie and going on a tour that I finally figured out. Because for us, while we were growing up, Erie was more of a place where we would ride our bicycles around all day in the fields, and we would just stop by the canteen for donuts, and then maybe stop by our dad's office and say hi, and then we were off again to ride our bicycles all day long. Now that I have a greater appreciation of the impact of his work, I think that he struck me as someone who was very low-key, very humble, and didn't really want to boast about his work a lot. And he, I think, went about his work very quietly in many ways, because he was doing a lot of things sort of behind the scenes. But we knew that, in retrospect, I should have realized this, because we had visiting Erie an entire cast of scientific all-stars, if you could put it. Some of the best agricultural research scientists would make a pilgrimage to Erie to visit and view and review the work here. And we would always have a chance to meet them, because these scientists would come to our home, and they would sit with my father on the porch, and a lot of times we would sit right next to him while he was having a scientific discussion with, it could be Norman Borlaug, it could be Sir Otto Frankel, or Sir Ralph Riley. All these luminaries would come by, and I should have realized that there was a good reason why all these famous scientists are coming by to visit Erie all the time.
Yeah. For me, as I grow older, I find that I'm getting more philosophical, and that's what I'm starting to really appreciate. What my father and all the other fathers accomplished. Because you get more of a worldview on things, and know what the ramifications are for the world's population. So, and that's how I really appreciate it. But growing up, we probably didn't get a full feel for how important the work was, because a lot of the scientists went through about their work very quietly and modestly. And it was actually, for me, more, I got a sense of the importance of their work more through some of my classmates and their parents. These classmates, their parents would work for the Asian Development Bank or World Health Organization. And when they found out that your parents were working for Erie, they say, "Oh, Erie, okay, we'd like to come visit and talk to your parents or come for a visit." So for me, it was more coming from an external stimulus. So.
Yeah, Erie, amongst the students at IS was considered a sort of intellectual powerhouse. All these very highly motivated and well-educated parents. I think that our relative isolation here compared to the city also lent itself to less exposure to some of the materialistic aspects of living in a big city. And so I think that we had a lot of that benefit from not having been exposed to a lot of the urban problems that some of our counterparts at IS had to grow up living in Makati at that time.
What was the driving time in those days to the American School or IS as it is?
It was about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes back then. But initially, we didn't even have the expressway. We used to take the old highway to Manila, and we would go through Muntinlupa, and we'd have to go through these. We basically drove on a two-lane road, one way each way. And but back then, even then, traffic was not that bad. We could make it to Manila, to IS in an hour and 15 minutes. Clearly, the expressway improved it, but then I think the volume of traffic rose to meet the capacity of the expressway.